We hear words like public library and automatically think it means for everybody. But back in 1939, public didn't always mean you, especially if you were black. Now, let me take you to Alexandria, Virginia, August 21st, 1939. The country's still in the middle of the Great Depression. Jim Crow laws were the rule, not the exception. Segregation was everywhere, in schools, buses, bathrooms, and yes, even the libraries. At the time, the brand new Alexandria Public Library had just opened its doors. Shining marble steps, tall shelves of new books, air conditioning, all that. But here's the thing, black taxpayers helped pay for that library, yet they weren't allowed to walk through the doors, not even to borrow a book. So a young black attorney named Samuel Wilbur Tucker decided he wasn't having that. Tucker was sharp, strategic, and years ahead of his time. He organized one of the first planned nonviolent sit-ins in American history. And this was before Rosa Parks, before Greensboro, before the civil rights movement even had a name. So that morning, 5 young black men, William Evans, Edward Gaddis, Morris Murray, Clarence Strange, and Otto Tucker, walked into that white-only library, one by one. Each man politely asked for a library card. Of course, they were told no. So instead of leaving, they calmly walked to a bookshelf, grabbed a book, sat down, and started reading. No shouting, no chaos, just peace. Within minutes, the police showed up and arrested them for disorderly conduct. Think about that. Reading while black was considered disorderly. They were taken out one by one, but they didn't fight back. They had been trained by Tucker to stay calm, to show the world what quiet resistance looked like. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. The charges against them were later dropped, but instead of desegregating the main library, the city tried to fix the situation by opening a separate library for black residents called the Robert H. Robinson Library. So no, equality didn't come overnight, but what Samuel Tucker and those young men did that day set a precedent. It showed that our people were already organizing, already resisting injustice long before the civil rights movement was making national headlines. They laid the blueprint: calm, strategic, and powerful resistance. Now, this happened in 1939, 20 years before the sit-ins of the 1960s that most of us learned about in school. But stories like these remind us that our fight for equality didn't start in the 60s. It's been going on for generations. Knowing our history means understanding that progress didn't come easy. It came from people like Samuel Tucker and those young men who decided that being denied knowledge was not an option. Because once you control who has the access to knowledge, you control the power. And they weren't about to let that happen. So when you hear the word public today, remember, it took courage, strategy, and a whole lot of faith to make public truly mean public for everybody. So, have you ever wondered why we don't hear these stories in school? Why nobody told us that one of the first sit-ins in American history happened in the library? Maybe it's because stories like this show us something powerful. That even without fame, microphones, or cameras, our people were already fighting back, quietly, intelligently, and bravely. They remind us that history didn't just happen to us, we shaped it. And the more we tell these stories, and the more we remind the world and ourselves that we've always been more than what they choose to teach. Remember to comment, like, and share, and subscribe for more stories that they won't put in your textbook. Peace.